will the GFC still work if my mind wanders and I stop focusing on the parts of the body Karen mentions? What if I don't know the part of the body Karen mentions during a GFC? What do I do then to still have an effective session? Does it matter if I am imagining the wrong body part or not?
Okay. All right. So,
so will it work if the mind wanders, first of all?
Yeah. So, yes, it will still work if your mind wanders. It will be more effective if you can focus your mind.
There you go.
Okay. So why do I even have you guys focus on a particular point? Okay. Maybe we should answer that first.
Yeah.
Okay. So the reason I have you guys focus on a particular point is because that is for the collective the mastermind that we're working on at that point, or together in that moment, is where the distortion is coming through your bodies for all of you. Okay. Some people, when they get higher in resonance, feel somewhere else. They're like, oh, she just mentioned like here, for example, center of the solar plexus, but I feel this thing in my right shoulder. I'm like, great, focus on both, because you're starting to discern the distortion coming through you, right? There are all these different levels, right? Different people have different abilities. So do what intuitively feels best, but always hold the place that I suggest if you can. Why? Because when you bring your attention to that space in your body, okay, you are starting to start the process of the confirming of the removal of the pattern, because you're using your free will to put your attention on that spot. That begins the process of the confirming of the removal. Okay, you're using your free will. I can't do this for you. You got to do it yourself. Now, say your mind wanders. You're human. Your mind's going to wander. Everyone's mind wanders, right? You're just going to be like, okay, I'm now thinking about lunch. Okay, I need to bring my attention back to my solar plexus, right? So it's not to like berate yourself, but just be like, okay, I'm a little bit like lost here. Focus. I'm just going to bring my mind back to this point and bring my mind back. You're just going to keep doing that. If you get the point wrong, it's not terrible, okay? Because you still have the intention to put your attention somewhere, right? To begin, whether you're aware of it or not, you're actually beginning the process of the confirming of the move of the pattern. If you get the place right, it's a little bit more effective, but it's not going to screw the process. Make sense?
It's just about level of effectiveness.
Exactly.
It's all effective.
Yes.
To which level. Now, I know I had asked you this a couple months ago. If you, and we have a question similar down the line, but if you listen to a GFC for the first time, you said it's really important to focus on those things. If you listen to it again, you had mentioned you can sometimes put it on a low level. Right? Yeah, totally. Thank you for asking that question. Yes, less important the second time around. Okay. Much less important. Some of you, and I've done this myself, where I've listened to frequency work, where I'm like, the first couple, I'm like, really, I want to pay attention. I don't know why I want to pay attention, but I'm like, this sucker, I got to pay attention to this. So I'm like alert, paying attention, listening, like doing the GFC. And then I'm like, at some point, I don't know why, I can't explain to you why, I just know this. I'm like, I let go of it a little bit. You know what I mean? So then I can just play in the background. It doesn't really bother me. And at some point, I stop listening to it. Yes. So you trust that.
I trust myself. Yeah, exactly.
That's perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
And so another question, how many times do I have to listen to a GFC?
Yeah, so I think we just answered that. So what I would say is, for as long as you feel like you want to. Okay.
And that you're conscious.
Exactly.
Right.
So you're just going to listen to it, and at some point you're going to listen to it. And some of them, you can listen to once and you're like, good. Like, I'm good. Right. And then a couple of them, or a number of them, you'll be like, no, I really, this one I got to do a little bit more. And some of them, and as you've mentioned, like, what if I fall asleep? For some people, if they fall asleep, it's because the frequency resonance of the GFC is really high and they're not adjusted to it, meaning they haven't integrated that frequency. So what I always recommend is, if you fall asleep at a certain point in a GFC, is to listen to it again actively until you can listen to the entire thing. Once you can do that, you know that you've integrated all the frequencies, you're good.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And then you may revisit it in a year or two, or never.
Or never again. Yeah.
Doesn't
just
matter.
trust that.
Great.
Yeah.
Am I supposed to do anything specific when Karen says to bring my attention to a certain part of my body?
No, just bring your attention to that part of the body.
Yep.
So that's why I say you can put your hand. So for example, you can put your hand somewhere, you can just depress, just bring your attention to that place. That's it. It's not very complicated.
Because awareness as humans is huge, right?
Yes.
That's where your energy goes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Your awareness is key. That's what you're cultivating. Okay. Exactly.
And then we kind of touched on this. If I fall asleep, does it still have the same effect? When I fall asleep, I can't focus on my xiphoid process or wherever she's suggesting. So is it still
effective? Yeah. So sleep, as we've just mentioned, is often an indication of the frequencies not yet being integrated. And what your higher self will do is will push your active mind into sleep so that you can integrate faster and more efficiently, actually, more effectively. So it's okay that you've fallen asleep. If you fall asleep, great. Just let yourself sleep, because a lot of people, what they'll do when they're sleeping is release distortion pattern. So just let that process happen.
Nice.
It's not bad at all. Yeah.
Great.
And then listen until you can maintain consciousness. Yeah.